The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, is not only a masterpiece about hope and freedom, but also a gathering of talented actors who left a deep impression on the audience. However, behind the halo of glory are terrible tragedies. James Whitmore died in pain from cancer. Brian Libby died under mysterious circumstances, and many other actors suffered tragedies darker than the walls of Shawshank Prison. Join us as we uncover the truth and honor their legacy. Let's go. James Whitmore as Brooks Hatlin. James Allen Whitmore Jr. was born on October 1, 1921, in White Plains, New York. He was 72 when he starred in the 1994 film Shawshank Redemption, playing Brooks Hatlin, a kindly elderly prisoner who works as a prison librarian. With his stoic face, sad eyes, and warm voice, Whitmore turned Brooks into one of the most haunting and moving characters in the audience's heart. Brooks portrayed a man who spent nearly half a century behind bars, unable to adapt to the outside world upon his release. The scene where Brooks hangs himself in a shabby motel room, scrawling the words, "Brooks was here on a rafter," brought countless people to tears and remains one of the film's most heartbreaking moments. A look at the real life of James Whitmore. Behind the glamour are years of trials, stress, and personal pain that few people know about. In the early years of his career, after returning from World War II, Whitmore struggled with haunting memories from the battlefield. Memories of his fallen comrades and his own death from dysentery while stationed on Tinian haunted him throughout his life, making roles like Battleground less like acting and more like a way to ease his inner pain. Despite his illustrious career, Whitmore was fraught with hardship. His first marriage to Nancy Midget in 1947 produced 3 sons. The eldest, James Whitmore Jr., followed in his father's footsteps as an actor and television director. For a time, the family of 5 seemed happy, but as the years passed and Whitmore became absorbed in the demands of the stage and film, the marriage began to unravel. The long tours, the pressures of work, and his wife's growing loneliness at home drove a wedge between them. After more than 2 decades together, they divorced in 1971, leaving Whitmore with a deep sense of emptiness and regret. He remarried, this time to actress Audra Lindley, but that marriage was also tumultuous. 2 strong personalities, 2 busy schedules. They cared for each other, but could not find lasting harmony. Frequent arguments and long separations led to divorce in 1979. Sadly, even when Whitmore and his first wife tried to reunite in the late 1970s and remarry, the marriage only lasted 2 short years before falling apart again, leaving another scar on his heart. During these turbulent years, Whitmore continued to devote himself to his art, searching for balance. In 1975, he played President Harry Truman in Give Him Hell, Harry, and was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor. The role came at a time when his second marriage was on the brink of collapse, and it seemed to be a way for him to assert himself and maintain his belief in his values. Later, though still admired, Whitmore lived a quieter life, devoting his time to the stage, to one-man shows, and to the small garden he tended as a form of solace. He found peace with his last wife, Noreen Nash, who stood by him in his final years. But fate struck when old age brought lung cancer, a consequence of the long-term smoking habit common among artists of his generation. James Whitmore died on February 6, 2009, at his home in Malibu, California, just a few months after being diagnosed with the disease. His ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean, a fitting tribute to a life devoted to the arts. At his death, he left behind an estimated $8 million fortune, the result of decades of dedication to film and theater. Brian Libby as Floyd. Brian Libby was born on April 20, 1949. He was 45 when he appeared in Shawshank Redemption in 1994, playing Floyd, a prisoner in a close-knit group of friends that included Andy and Red. Although his role was not as prominent as Brooks's, Libby's Floyd quietly contributed to the film's authentic portrayal of friendship and solidarity among the prisoners. Every time Floyd appeared on screen, he exuded a simple and warm demeanor, very much like the real person his colleagues often mentioned. Brian Libby's life and career were marked by a quiet persistence in supporting roles. He never had the good fortune to play a major role or to shine as a star. He spent most of his career in small roles, often in Frank Darabont films. After Shawshank Redemption, Libby appeared in Air Force One, 1997, and The Mist, 2007. But despite his big-budget work, he remained a low-profile actor behind the scenes. This brought its own pressures, as he worked tirelessly but rarely received public recognition or praise. In his personal life, Libby remained a mystery to the media. He lived quietly, avoided scandal, and rarely shared his private life. That secretive nature also brought loneliness, especially later in life, when the spotlight faded and roles became scarce. After 2007, Libby gradually disappeared from the screen, leading many to believe that those were difficult, lonely, and forgotten years. Brian Libby passed away on June 18, 2021, at the age of 72. The cause of death was never announced, giving rise to much speculation about his health and final days. Some believe he battled illness quietly, while others say his passing reflected the natural ravages of old age and years of silent struggle. At the time of his death, his fortune was estimated at $2 million, a modest sum that reflects his quiet and dedicated career. Rita Hayworth as Gilda Munson Farrell. Rita Hayworth was born on October 17, 1918 in Brooklyn, New York. When she appeared in Shawshank Redemption in 1994 through archival footage from Gilda, 1946, she was 28 years old when she played Gilda Munson Farrell, a role that shaped the public's image of Hollywood's love goddess. The moment Gilda tossed her hair back and smiled enchantingly as she asked "I," became legendary, not only in Gilda, but also as a symbol of hope and desire for freedom in Shawshank Redemption, associated with the dream of the prisoner in Shawshank. However, behind the glamour of the Hollywood love goddess was a life full of suffering, with tragedy following her until the end of her life. As a child, Rita endured the physical pain of being forced to undergo electrolysis, to raise her hairline to conform to the beauty standards of the time. Her youth was marked by broken marriages and heartache. Her first husband, Edward Judson, was seen as a traitor who sold her out for his own gain, pushing her into a world of relentless fame without regard for her own happiness. She then sought out a soulmate in the brilliant director Orson Welles, only to be shunned by him as he pursued his art. Her marriage to Prince Ali Khan, which initially seemed like a promise of peace, ended in bitter legal battles and loneliness as she faced pregnancy and motherhood alone. Perhaps most heartbreaking was her final marriage to James Hill, a man who humiliated her, once making her cry in front of friends at a dinner so embarrassing that Charlton Heston later wrote that he regretted not protecting her. Each broken marriage made Rita more lost and sad. While the public continued to admire Gilda's image, Hayworth herself bitterly admitted, "Men fell in love with Gilda, but they woke up with me." Off-screen, she was a shy, weak woman, longing for a real home, something she never found. After Gilda, Rita's career gradually declined. She was replaced by younger stars, and the rise of television further dimmed her reputation. Although she had memorable roles in Miss Sadie Thompson, 1953, and They Came to Cordura, 1959, she never regained her former luster. Adding to her sadness, Hayworth's final years were marked by a long battle with Alzheimer's disease, which began to affect her when she was 42, but was not officially diagnosed until 1980. Her forgotten lines and strange behavior were blamed on alcoholism. a stigma that only deepened her loneliness and suffering. The only person who was always by her side was her daughter Yasmin, who silently cared for her and protected her from the pitiful eyes and cruel gossip. As Rita gradually lost the ability to speak or care for herself, she lived quietly in a small New York apartment. Tragically, her trusted financial manager took advantage of her, depleting much of her fortune. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at $10 million, a fraction of what she had earned during a lifetime of film, dance, and art, eroded by legal troubles, mismanagement, and the devastating effects of her illness. Rita Hayworth died on May 14, 1987 in New York, at the age of 68 after months in a coma. She was buried at Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, beneath a white angel, with a simple inscription from her daughter, "To yesterday's friendship and tomorrow's reunion." A loving note that closed a life that was both brilliant and unspeakably sad. George Macready as Balin Munson. George Macready was born on August 29, 1899, in Providence, Rhode Island. When he appears indirectly in Shawshank Redemption through archival footage from Gilda, 1946, he was 47 years old at the time of filming. In this classic film, Macready plays Balin Munson, a wealthy and powerful casino owner whose cold, piercing gaze and commanding presence add to the tension of the love triangle between Gilda and Johnny Farrell. Although he only appears briefly on screen in Shawshank Redemption, keen-eyed viewers can still sense the weight of his presence and his trademark husky voice on screen. Macready's life was not a bed of roses. As a young man, he was involved in a serious car accident that left him with a permanent scar on his right cheek. While the scar would later become a defining feature that helped him play powerful, villainous characters, it also limited him to romantic or heroic roles, a fact that often saddened him. Because of the scar, Macready was often cast in cold, ruthless roles, from Balin Munson in Gilda, 1946, to the ruthless General Paul Moreau in Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory, 1957, one of his most powerful performances, reflecting the senseless cruelty of war. His only marriage, to Elizabeth Donna Patterson, lasted from 1931 to 1943. During that time, Macready juggled the pressures of Broadway and a burgeoning film career with a demanding schedule and long tours that kept him away from home. The distance and the unspoken pressures of balancing family responsibilities and career ambitions gradually cooled their relationship. After more than a decade together and 3 children, they quietly split. Macready's personal life was filled with loneliness afterward. He turned to painting, art, and long conversations with like-minded people like Vincent Price to find balance off-screen. They even opened an art gallery together in Beverly Hills, a cultural hub during the war years. In his later years, Macready struggled with emphysema, a disease linked to his long-term smoking habit, which robbed him of the powerful voice that had once defined him. He eventually retreated to his home, where he lived out his final years in peace. George Macready died on July 2, 1973, in Los Angeles, at the age of 73. His net worth at the time was estimated at $3 million, the result of a long, steady, and admirable career. Morgan Freeman as Ellis Boyd, Red Redding. Morgan Freeman was born on June 1, 1937, in Memphis, Tennessee. He was 57 when he appeared in 1994's The Shawshank Redemption, playing Ellis Boyd, Red Redding, the narrator and closest companion of Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Prison. The role not only earned Freeman his 3rd Oscar nomination, but it also became one of the most iconic characters in film history, forever associated with a warm, profound story about freedom, hope, and friendship. With his calm smile and wise, weary eyes, Red touched the hearts of millions of moviegoers around the world. Freeman's personal life has also been filled with ups and downs. After a first marriage of more than a decade to Jeanette Adair Bradshaw, he married Myrna Colley Lee in 1984. The once solid relationship eventually ended quietly in 2010 after 26 years together. The divorce reportedly cost Freeman a significant portion of his fortune, and he was surrounded by rumors of lingering tensions. Another blow to his life came in 2015 with the tragic death of his niece, Adina Hines, whom he raised as his own. A loss he rarely spoke about, but which left deep emotional scars. In 2008, Freeman was involved in a serious car accident in Mississippi, breaking his shoulder and arm, requiring hours of surgery. The accident left him with permanent nerve damage, forcing him to wear compression gloves to improve circulation and live with chronic pain. Despite these hardships, Freeman has never let his physical injuries or personal scandals overshadow his image as a dedicated artist. He continues to work tirelessly, starring in films ranging from Million Dollar Baby, for which he won an Oscar, to recent works such as A Good Person, 2023, and The Lioness series, 2023. Today, at 88 years old, Morgan Freeman remains one of Hollywood's living legends, with an estimated net worth of $250 million. His career spanning more than 6 decades as an actor, director, producer, and narrator is a testament to his resilience and unwavering dedication to his craft. William Sadler as Haywood William Sadler was born on April 13, 1950. He was 44 when he appeared in 1994's Shawshank Redemption, playing Haywood, a friendly, cheerful inmate who brought a bit of light to the otherwise gloomy atmosphere of Shawshank Prison. While not a leading role, the role enriched the picture of prison life and remains one of Sadler's most memorable roles in a decades-long career. Sadler's life was not without its share of sadness. After many years of happy marriage to Marnie Joan Boxt, whom he married in 1978, he faced a heartbreaking loss when Marnie passed away in late 2024 after a 2-year battle with cancer. The loss left a void that was difficult to fill, especially since Marnie was not only his wife but also his spiritual support through all the ups and downs of his life and career. Sadler had previously experienced significant pressure in his career. For example, when he was desperate to win the role of Colonel Stewart in Die Hard 2, 1990, he was judged too young for the role. Determined, he asked a makeup artist friend to make him look 20 years older for another audition. That effort proved his determination and tenacity in his artistic path. But the relentless effort also meant enduring long periods of stress, sometimes leading to burnout. As he dealt with the loss of his wife, Sadler continued to work, using it as a way to fill the void and nurture his passion for acting. He remained active in projects like The Flash, The Rookie, Feds, 2022, and Salem's Lot, 2024, demonstrating incredible stamina even in his 70s. Today, at 75, William Sadler remains passionate about stage and screen, spending more time with his young family. His estimated net worth of $4 million is a worthy reward for a lifetime of dedication to his craft, overcoming all odds. Clancy Brown as Captain Byron Hadley. Tim Robbins was born on October 16, 1958, in West Covina, California. He was 35 when he appeared in The Shawshank Redemption in 1994, playing Andy Dufresne, a smart and intellectual banker who was wrongly convicted of murdering his wife and her lover, and who had been secretly plotting a daring escape for 2 decades. This role was the turning point that catapulted Robbins from a critically acclaimed actor to an A-list star, earning admiration from audiences and critics alike for his profound, emotional, and intelligent performance. Behind the spotlight of his career, Robbins's personal life was filled with tension and turmoil. In 1988, he began a relationship with actress Susan Sarandon, a relationship that was considered one of the most admired in Hollywood, but also one that came with a lot of pressure, as both were great artists with strong personalities and outspoken political views. They were together for 21 years and had 2 sons, but in the end, their love could not withstand the erosion of time and the differences that silently accumulated. In 2009, they broke up with the regret of their fans, closing a long chapter of admiration and unfulfilled dreams. Robbins' second marriage to Graziella Brancusi took place in secret in 2017, but also did not bring lasting happiness. After 3 peaceful years together, they split in 2020 and finalized their divorce in 2022. Robbins rarely spoke publicly about their split, but those close to him said their private personalities and generational gap made it difficult for them to find common ground, especially as Robbins continued to devote himself to his artistic and political projects while Brancusi sought a more private life. Robbins not only had to deal with the breakups in his love life, but he also had to endure the stress of being the center of controversy for his political statements. He publicly opposed the Iraq War in 2003, a stance that turned some of the public against him, and even led to the cancellation of a planned induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. In 2020, Robbins was again criticized for his condemnation of COVID-19 lockdowns, arguing that they threatened free speech, a stance that made him appear more aggressive in the eyes of the mainstream media, although many fans continued to respect his courage and steadfastness. Amid the turmoil, Robbins continued to dedicate himself to his art. Films like Mystic River and more recently, the Silo 2023 series reflect the soul of an artist who is constantly concerned with justice, freedom, and the human condition. Despite the emotional shocks of his personal life and the pressure of public opinion, he has maintained his passion for creation, continuing to direct and act with undiminished enthusiasm. As of 2025, at the age of 67, Tim Robbins has an estimated net worth of $70 million, the result of more than 4 decades of dedication to film, theater, and music. Not only is it material wealth, but it is also a testament to a life full of ups and downs, constantly fighting for the art and ideals he believed in. Clancy Brown was born on January 5, 1959, in Urbana, Ohio. He was 35 years old when he took on the role of Captain Byron Hadley in The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, delivering a chilling performance as the brutal, powerful, and terrifying prison captain, a role that left a lasting impression on audiences. Behind those memorable villains, Brown's life was also filled with quiet sadness and lingering pain. The greatest tragedy occurred during Brown's childhood, when his beloved older sister Beth died of leukemia in 1964. Brown was only 5 years old, and the loss left an unfillable void in his heart. That early grief sparked a lifelong compassion in him and inspired his dedication to charity, especially the scholarship programs established in Beth's name. Although Brown is known for his villainous roles, he is a devoted husband and father in real life. His marriage to Jean Johnson, which began in 1993, has endured despite the pressures of fame and the challenging pace of his career over the decades. Balancing dark characters like Kurgan in Highlander, 1986, or the cunning Jock Jeffcoat in Billions, 1986, with his role as a caring father at home is not always easy. Brown has admitted in interviews that constantly playing villains can sometimes be mentally taxing, and he turns to books and charity work as a way to relieve stress and find peace. One of the most difficult periods for Brown was during the filming of Carnival, 2003 to 2005, when his role as Justin Crow's brother forced him to explore the deepest recesses of the human psyche. The intensity of the role was so great that Brown decided to stay away from his family for months at a time, determined to protect his loved ones from emotional harm. The experience made him appreciate family life even more and taught him how to balance work and family. He found joy in voicing friendly characters like Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob SquarePants and cherished quiet moments with his family as a balm for his spirits. Today, at 66, Clancy Brown is still active in the entertainment industry. He appeared in The Penguin, 2024, as Sal Maroney, and has continued to lend his voice to animated films and video games, proving his incredible endurance as an actor who has overcome countless challenges. His estimated net worth is around $10 million, a worthy result of a lifetime of tireless dedication and perseverance in the profession. The stars of The Shawshank Redemption left behind an unforgettable legacy, but their lives were filled with heartbreaking secrets. Bob Gunton was born on November 15, 1945, in Santa Monica, California. He was 48 years old when he appeared in The Shawshank Redemption in 1994, playing Warden Samuel Norton, a ruthless, hypocritical, and corrupt prison guard who left a lasting mark on film history. Behind these powerful roles lies a man who has endured years of stress and hardship. Gunton's childhood was marred by war. He enlisted in the Army and fought in Vietnam from 1969 to 1971. The brutal siege of fire support base Ripcord nearly cost him his life when he and his men returned at the last minute to save vital radio equipment. His Bronze Star was not only a testament to his bravery, but also a reminder of the life and death days and haunting nights that left deep scars on his soul. That lingering pain would resurface often afterward, especially when he played complex characters like Warden Norton and politician Ethan Kanan on 24 from 2007 to 2010. His first marriage to Annie McGreevy lasted from 1980 to 2006. Over the course of those 26 years, the pressures of work, the distance between them, and the scars of war gradually took their toll. At the time, while Gunton was focusing on big roles like Argo, 2012, he was also struggling with loneliness and self-doubt. He later remarried to Carrie Pitts in 2006, but his personal life remained private, carrying its own hidden burdens. Although he was spared any public scandal, Gunton admitted to having sleepless nights, haunted by memories of the past, the rigors of acting, and the burden of playing heavy-handed villains. He said the buildup of such stress sometimes made him want to step away from the spotlight altogether. But in the end, acting became his salvation, helping him transform his pain into genuine emotions on screen. His later roles in Ghostbusters, Afterlife, 2021, and The Inheritance, 2024, were all challenges and testaments to his unwavering determination. As of 2025, at the age of 80, Bob Gunton is still steadfast, working hard and leaving his mark on the audience. Although he does not possess a huge fortune like an A-list star, with a stable income from royalties from the film Shawshank Redemption and a long career, he has accumulated about $8 million USD. A modest number, but worthy of a life of dedication and overcoming challenges to live fully with passion and art.